Well, ladies and gentlemen, without a well-wisher and without a sponsor and without the support of you lovely people, an event like this would be thoda fika, would be a little thanda. So I'm going to ask you to give all of our sponsors a very big hand for supporting us through this mega event. We have with us Sumitomo Tires. That is a high quality Japanese tire. Under the banner and sponsorship of Ali Al Ghanem & Sons Automotive Company. Today here we have with us Suresh Nugah Ali, who is the director, tires, lubricants in the battery division. He has personally been my friend for over 20 years now. And I've known him since a long time. We are going to give away, very simply, 3 Joy Alucas gold coupons. It's important that you are in the ballroom, and if you are here and your card gets pulled out, we're not going to be taking any more cards, Tricia. The cards needed to have been delivered at the kiosk which is outside. I'm going to invite Suresh, if you would come on up here. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give Suresh a very big hand. To know you on a first name basis is an honor. Thank you so much. If you can stay right there in the middle. We are going to draw out 3 business cards. If you're not here, nobody can collect on your behalf. You have to show us another business card to confirm that you are the individual or your civil ID. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, let's go. And the winner of the first coupon is somebody who works at Lexus. Who's here? We have the winner, Asif Muhammad. Asif, are you here? Asif is here. If he's not here, there he is. Let's give Asif a very big hand, ladies and gentlemen. Many congratulations, Asif. Many congratulations. Go on, our next winner. And the winner is somebody who is from Al Mulla Finance. Can we have all of you from Al Mulla Finance stand up? Let's build this up a little bit. 1. Just 1? 2. Stand up, sir. Come on. If you don't want it, it's not going to come your way. The winner is S. Ramachandran. All in good time. Congratulations. Go on and collect your prize from Mr. Suresh right on into the middle. Congratulations, sir. Mr. S. Ramachandran. Let's give him a very big hand, ladies and gentlemen. And our last and final one. Okay. Suresh is going to go down to, or we'd like to invite Mr. Bava. Mr. Shavajit Bava, if you would please join us up on stage to drop the last and final one. And the winner is... Okay, the winner is, okay, now they're contemplating. Share with me. They want to change this. Should we change this? Should we keep it the same? Akit, yimkin marahi wasal ismik. Maybe it's not your name. Akit? Sure. The winner is Lloyd D'Souza. I'm just joking. The winner is Viru Kumar from 360 Realtors. Sorry, it's Varun Kumar. Varun Kumar. Yaar, Varun, thode bhag ke aa jao, yaar. Let's give Varun a big hand, everybody. Congratulations, Varun. Congratulations, Varun. Go on and collect your prize. Thank you, Suresh. Thank you, Mr. Bava. Thank you very much. Thank you to Ali Al Ghanem & Sons. Thank you very much. for your kind generosity. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And as Suresh says, he's here all throughout. Summer is just over. A good time to replenish your tires. So if you want one, you know who to go to. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving into the world of digitization. And everybody here knows that digitization is happening. Imagine if we drew up all of those at the click of a finger. How would that be? We're going to give away our first raffle, which is an Apple Watch. And it is the courtesy of Uridu, who is going to give this away. So I'm going to invite somebody from Uridu, a rep. Can we have, yes, come on up, sir. Up here. Now, what happens is, why have we done this? We are going to have a digital draw. Why? Because whenever we invite somebody to pick a draw, people stop liking that person. Only one person is very happy that his name got picked up and everybody else is very sad. So this time the computer is to blame. We are going to click up on the screen. It's going to go up there and the winner is going to show. So let's do something that they do in the House of the Commons. They tap their tables. Everybody go. And it's on the screen. Hit it whenever you're good. Go, 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 go. And the winner is, I want to see you tap your table. Drum roll. Mr. Alokesh Roy, are you here? If you're not, forever hold your peace. Alokesh Roy, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, slow, 2, 1. I've never seen you engage so much. I never seen you get so involved. Give Alok, and whoever knows Alokesh Roy, send him a message. You just say 2 words. And the next winner is Kriti Buchasia. Come on up here. Can we have you up on stage? And, yes sir, Mr. Anup, if you do us the honors. It's an Apple Watch, yes? Yes it is. Let's give Kriti a very big hand. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Kriti, you have to say thank you to 2 people. Number 1, the computer, and number 2, to Alok. To do us the honors, I would invite the chairman, Mr. Sai, the vice chairman, Mr. Kaiser, and our ex-chairman, Mr. Noel, to please join me on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a warm welcome, Mr. Sai, Mr. Kaiser, and Mr. Noel. I want to invite also Mr. Abdullah Alaisa and Mr. Faisal Al-Tabayakh to come on and collect a token of our appreciation. Ashkarkum jiddan ya shabab. Give them a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much to each and every one of you. Thank you so much. The next part of our program is a panel discussion. And I'd like to invite Mr. Kaiser Shakir to come forward and take us through with the proceedings in introducing the host and the entire discussion.
A very good evening to all our distinguished guests, members, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here with us and the patience. And I'm sure this is the first event that we are having, a first conference, international conference, and I see a huge audience who've been here since 2 o'clock. Thank you all for that. Today we have an amazing panel on embracing the digital transformation for sustainable and scalable growth, where our panelists will be talking about the big trends we need to keep our eyes on that could directly impact your businesses and where the whole digital transformation era is now headed. Let me briefly set the tone for this discussion and introduce the panelists and the moderator for the evening. I start by inviting the first panelist on stage. That's Mr. Abdul Aziz Al-Loghani. May we please put our hands together to welcome Mr. Abdul Aziz Al-Loghani. Mr. Abdul Aziz Al-Loghani is a managing partner with Faith Capital and CEO of online flowers and gift destination Flowered. Previously, Mr. Abdul Aziz was the founding vice chairman of Kuwait National Fund for SMEs Development, a $7 billion independent public institution responsible for developing the entrepreneurial ecosystems in Kuwait. Prior to this, he was a co-founder and managing partner of Talabat.com until 2010, and has since been investing in technology startups and involved in a number of local and regional entrepreneurial initiatives. He was also a director at Global Capital Management, the alternative investment arm of Global Investment House. Abdulaziz has served as an executive and board member on a number of companies within the MENA region in technology, banking, healthcare, manufacturing, consumer finance, food and beverages. Abdulaziz holds a bachelor's degree, double majors in information systems and e-commerce from University of Toledo, and an MBA degree from London Business School. Thank you very much, Ms. Logani, for being here. May I now invite the second panelist, Mr. Abdullah Al-Najran Al-Tuwajri. Mr. Abdullah happens to be the Deputy CEO of Bobian Bank. He joined Bobian Bank in December 2011 and has more than 29 years of banking experience, including 23 years at NBK. During this time with NBK, he held different leadership roles in retail banking in Kuwait and London. Mr. Al-Tuwajri got his bachelor's degree in finance from Kuwait University and attended several executive programs at Harvard Business School, INSEAD, and other reputable institutions. Thank you, Mr. Al-Tuwajri, for being with us. The third panelist is Mr. Gopal Sharma. Gopal Sharma is the Transformation and Automation Leader Partner, Ernst & Young. Gopal is a seasoned management consultant and digital transformation expert, having more than 18 years of experience across leading management consulting firms. In his current role as partner in EY, he leads the digital transformation practice of EY Financial Accounting Advisory Services across Middle East and North Africa. He specializes in end-to-end digital and business transformation, entailing artificial intelligence, robotic process automation, intelligent OCR, machine learning, BPM, and data analytics. Prior to EY, Gopal has worked with leading technology and Big Four consulting firms with focus on technology-enabled finance and transformation. He is an engineer and MBA by education from leading institutions of India, DCE, and IIT Delhi, and holds several industry certifications, including CISA, PMP, Lean Six Sigma, robotics, blockchain, artificial intelligence, etc. Gopal is an active speaker at several industry forums and have conducted several RPA masterclass and intelligent automation sessions across various SSON, ICAI, and industry events in the MENA region. With this, the three panelists on board, I would now request the moderator to take over. The most important job, who will be actually leading the show from here on. That's Ms. Sheikha Al-Fulaj. Sheikha is a partner at Ernst & Young. Sheikha had joined Ernst & Young, Kuwait in February 2004 after graduating from Babson College in Boston, US, and currently serves as partner in assurance. Sheikha actually leads the National Graduate Program in EY, promoting the national staff in Kuwait. Sheikha currently leads also the Women's Fast Forward initiative in MENA, which aims to accelerate achievement of gender parity in the world. She is also the program sponsor responsible for launching the EY Entrepreneurial Winning Program in MENA. Sheikha is a certified public accountant in USA and is also a licensed auditor in Kuwait. And of course, the most important thing, she is a mother of 5-year-old twin girls. That's an achievement. Thank you very much. I now leave the stage for Sheikha to take over. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the Kuwait chapter of the Institute of Chartered Accountants for inviting us today. So I'm sure you've heard the word digital a million times today, and probably every day. We've been hearing so much about the digital transformation and its impact on its businesses. So today we'll dive even a little bit deeper and discussing in more detail the topic of embracing the digital transformation for sustainable and scalable growth. So So we'll start off by hearing from Mr. Abdulaziz. Given your experience investing in technology startups, what does digital transformation mean for GCC?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Kuwait chapter. Thank you so much for having us here. My name is Abdulaziz, and I've been investing and operating in consumer internet for the past 14 years, and I can definitely say that digital transformation happening on the consumer side in our part of the world. We look at the Arab world as a whole, so we look at it all the way from Morocco to UAE. This is an approximate 400 million population. This is an approximate $3 trillion economy, and of that 3 trillion, less than 1% is actually consumed online. So $29 billion is the estimate size of the e-commerce industry in the Arab world. And if you break that $29 billion, you'll barely see that 21 billion is actually travel. So that's between hotels and air tickets. And the remaining are between 2 or 3 sectors: fashion, consumer electronics, F&B. But the rest of this $3 trillion economy is still relatively big offline with nascent online presence. At a rate of around 65% internet penetration in the Arab world, with smartphone penetration probably a bit higher at 70, and the 200 million population that's actually online. We like looking at the region as a whole. We try our best thinking of it as a homogeneous economy. Yes, there are challenges, but we see a lot of emerging trends happening. We think the past 10 years to 15 years has been focused a lot more on infrastructure, so be it of fiber or ISPs upgrading a lot of their utility services to actual data systems. And we think that effort has transformed a majority of the population to be online. The next 10, 15 years is going to be getting people to pay online. I mean, Mr. Abdullah can better maybe assess the banking situation and how much of that is being digitally transformed, but we definitely see regulators, banks, telecom, large industries heavily focused on transforming customers to make it easier for people to be banked across the region and easier for them to be converted to online users. Key trends we're seeing across the economy, we see, and when we say big offline markets and transforming them to online presence, sectors we like include laundries, include flowers, include eyewear, include grocery shopping, real estate, content. I mean, these are all very low-hanging fruits. And if you look across the region, there isn't really industry leaders. If you keep an eye out for those kind of trends, we will see them significantly transform our economy over the next 10 to 15 years.
Thank you, Abdulaziz. A note to the audience, if you have any questions, you can post them on slidos.com, and we'll have a 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the session to answer your questions. So now we have a great success story of Bobian Bank being one of the most innovative digital banks in the region in the GCC. So Mr. Abdullah, given your experience leading the digital transformation of the bank, so what are the top considerations that you would consider while embarking on a digital transformation journey?
Thank you, Sheikh, and thanks everyone for having us here. It's our pleasure to be here today with you, with this very big audience on a Friday afternoon. So you took us from our families, but we're happy to be here. Anyway, so it's a big question, Sheikh. I think considering a digital transformation is something that everyone is talking about. It's a big world. People have different opinions about it, but no one actually knows what it is. So, especially that with organizations who are been there for a long time, having this mind shift is a big challenge. So back to your question, is the mind shift, is the understanding of the teams, starting from the board to the executive management to the whole organization on what does that mean? Because it's one word that people have different understanding of it. So you need to make it simple. You need to get the hearts and minds first of the people working on the organization. The executive management and the board, by nature, they're older in age. So it's something that it is difficult for them to understand and comprehend from the first time. So it takes a long time to convince the system in the organization to accept the change. Then when people understand it and understand what are the benefits and so on, the journey later on becomes a bit easier. But it takes time. So I would encourage everyone not to rush it. It will take time. You need to convince the people. You need to explain to them. The issue is that people see other organizations globally and they would like to be like them in 6 months or 1 year, and that wouldn't happen. We always see, and now with the internet and the connections and everything, we can see a lot of examples, a lot of use cases, a lot of implementation across the world, and everyone wants to be the next BBVA or the next, I don't know, Bank of America or any bank in the world, or the Lloyd's transformation journey. Lloyd's, anyone can read about that story. It's a big story, but it consumed a lot of time and effort and people to convert that bank from the old style bank to the new one. So it's a relatively longer journey. Things doesn't happen in 6 months or 1 year. You need to be patient. You need to invest in it, but the reward is worth the investment.
Thank you, Abdullah. We've heard from the business owner, so now let's hear from the consultants, which probably things are always quicker, right? So what do you...
Talking about digital, putting the mic on is a challenge.
So what are the, what would you believe, in your opinion, are the top 5 mega trends of the digital evolution in the finance sector?
Good evening to all, and thank you for having us here. From a practitioner's point of view, and of course, that's what Shekhar said, how does consultant look at it? Well, there are a number of technology plays that are there, and if you talk about some of the mega trends that are there that is impacting the industry, I would like to name a few technologies that are making significant progress and changing the very operating model of the finance function and the organization in general. So robotics process automation is not something that is new to us. It has been the region for almost like 6-7 years and has made the maximum penetration, I must say. So that's trend number 1. Artificial intelligence has now deepened its roots, and some of its use cases are very, very regular and very commonplace. What we see, for example, in terms of chatbots, what we see as machine learning tools that are able to read different kind of invoices and different kind of contracts is very common and very regular use cases that we often see. Big data that has been there is the third big mega trend. And I think what I'm seeing is now we have moved away from simple modeling to more predictive analytics and more meaningful insights that we can derive from the data, whichever field you are talking about, whether it is customer analytics, whether it is credit analytics, whether it is sales analytics, or simple finance-related processes. Blockchain is the fourth big mega trend I would like to talk about. And I would say that with a caution, that blockchain, obviously, because it involves a number of industry players to come together to deliver a particular business process over the hyperledger or whatever is the common platform they would agree, the use cases are still few. That said, if you talk about trade finance, in the banking area. That's a very common use case that we see. We also see, for example, company registration cases, for example, what we have right now in Dubai. We also see payments, intercompany payments that are being settled through blockchain network, and number of cases related to the origin of several items, where they have been produced and how they have moved across the blockchain. And the final item I would like to talk about is on cloud. And this is the fifth and probably the most prevalent mega trend, which is significantly impacting and fueling the digital transformation journey, not just from a cost point of view, but also from the speed, the efficiency, and the simply making all the different technologies available to people in a very limited time frame. So not just cost, we are also talking about time and efficiency and leapfrogging that journey that many organizations have done over years. So these are a few trends I would like to discuss.
Thank you, Gopal. So back to Abdullah. You've talked about mind shift, you've talked about time. So how can you make the digital transformation scalable, in your opinion?
Scalable mainly depends on the technology. So what we did in Bobyan is now we have split it digital from IT. So IT is now a separate group, and digital is a separate group. So what we did is to run parallel transformation programs, one for digital and one for IT, to guarantee the scale. So from the IT, because if you mix it all together, the bank and the organization will not be able to absorb the change. So the splitting now, the IT team are having one track to transform the infrastructure, the hardware, the networks, the memory, everything that enables digital. And the whole purpose of the IT transformation is to make the bank digital ready. So that was their main task, as well as the resilience, because with digital comes millions and millions of transactions that, because you're offering and moving a lot of transactions from branch, from ATM, from all the other channels to the mobile and the internet. So, and it makes it very easy for people to do a very small transaction by pulling the mobile out of their pocket. That didn't used to happen before. Before a customer wants to do something, he used to go to the branch or go to the ATM and do it. Now, he just pull his mobile and do the transaction. By our nature of the customer base of Bobyan, we are very much focused on the younger generation and the younger people. And those people are heavy on transaction. What Abdulaziz mentioned here about like talabat and all the things that he's doing in his area reflects on us, because he makes things easy for people to order flowers, order food, send things from one place to another, even the laundry to be picked up. And this is all happening on their platforms, but a payment has to happen at the end. So scaling up is very important in the digital journey. And this is what we're trying to do now. Every time we come to a new digital journey, we'll have to ensure that the IT infrastructure is there. And that journey has now proven to be successful, because we have separated IT and digital, and they're investing and doing their journey by expanding the capability of the bank to absorb this sea of transaction that is coming their way.
What are the challenges that you're facing in terms of scaling and sustaining this digital transformation in your organization?
Big challenge is people. It's a big change, and convincing the people with the new operating model is not easy. It's a new operating model that we are now embarking on. Roles of people has been changed. Reporting lines has been changed. The way of working, because we moved now from waterfall to agile. So understanding the agile model and accepting it and dealing with it is the big challenge. So I wouldn't say the technology, because the technology is available. It's the people. The other part of the people is the skill set. People who knows how to operate RPA and PPM and OCR and the AI and all the new technologies is very scarce. So having the capabilities, having the people, and having the leaders who can manage. Maybe you'll have the professional programmer or the professional person who understands the system, but having a leader who understands how to put things together and how to put the teams together is a big challenge. So I would not limit it to people, but people, and changing the mindset and getting the right people in place is one of the biggest challenges. It takes time, as I mentioned earlier.
Including, you've mentioned including the leadership and the C-suite, getting the buy-ins. So Gopal, what do you think? How can CEOs and the C-suite use digital to their advantage?
I think I would start, and I would actually start to add what Abdullah just said. One of the challenge that we look at is putting the first few bots or the first few point of proof of concept isn't a problem. Technology is there, it is established, it works. What is important is that what changes brings to your governance and to your operating model and how fast you are able to assimilate that. If you look into different CXOs and the role they have in the organization, let's talk about the finance function to begin with. The CFO organization, his primary goal is about value creation, value protection, and making sure that maximizing the profit for the organization. From his perspective, he wants the finance function and the numbers to be reliable and coming consistently on the right time. And then he can spend his time on being a business partner. From that perspective, you need to see how we can use the digital technology to free him up from the day jobs, from whatever mundane reconciliations that his team does, whatever time they spend on the period and closing activities and so on, accrual provisions and so on. If you talk about the COO organization, who basically is mostly geared towards efficient and effective business operation, which is reliable, which has got the resilience, then you're talking about an operation that gives 24/7 ability. Something our ability to do more with the same investment, with the same infrastructure. And how do we make sure that we sweat our digital investment enough that is able to deliver the ROI that we are promising? Finally, the CEO, who's primarily driven by one major thing, which is the profitability, and then the brand and reputation of the organization or the entity itself. We need to make sure that these different elements are coming together, and the organization is actually geared towards that. One element that I would like to highlight here is digital trust. Without digital trust, there is no digital transformation. And there are various definitions of digital trust, but I would say by something very basic. One version of truth, having reliable data, data that your different stakeholders such as customers, vendors, management can rely upon, and finally that data gets processed faster and in a more intelligent manner using this technology, and thereby you are able to derive some meaningful insights out of it. So it is important that we work on digital trust as one of the building, as the foundation of any digital transformation. You may scale up your digital transformation journey, but without digital trust, you may not reap the benefits.
Thank you, Gopal. So we've spoken about internally organizations, but what is the role of the customer and how would they be impacted by this digital transformation? So
very significantly, the customer gets impacted in the way the experience that has to happen. And many of the organizations are talking about across the different channels, how can we deliver a same customer experience to them? And obviously, within the organization, you have to have customer journey maps, you have to have people who are focusing on CX, customer experience, and are able to deliver that uniform experience to the customer. As a customer, we have to also see what are the different channels available and what are our performance obligation towards those channels. And if we are able to deliver our IT methodology and the IT infrastructure and the digital platform to consistently deliver those performance, and different sectors may have different performance criteria to look at, then we are talking about a very effective and retained customer that we are able to migrate to, let's say, cheaper channels or more cost-effective channels and have him retained over a period of time.
So Abdulaziz, you've worked very close with customers, especially now with Floward. So what do you believe, how is the role of the customer being impacted, and what are they looking for in a digital transformation?
So maybe, can I see a show of hands? How many of you buy their air tickets online? All right. And how many of you buy their pair of jeans online? And this is basically describing what Gopal is saying. At least for us, when we practice, we try making it a lot simpler. So the less friction in managing expectation, the higher your conversion is likely to be. There's a reason to why a lot of us buy their tickets online, because what you see is exactly what you're gonna get. And I think that, on the contrary, correlates negatively with, let's say, buying a pair of jeans, because even if you have 10 pairs of jeans at home, there is one or two that you particularly like their fit. And until you can really have a close pulse to how the customer feels about what he or she is saying, only then can you really convert that experience to online. Well, this is something that we do day in and day out as practitioners. We have a very close relationship with our customers. If I look back, say in 2007, the type of tools that were available back then to understand your customer's journey and all your funneling process were very limited, almost limited back then to, even Google Analytics didn't even work. So you basically had like a very high-level heat map about where the browser button actually is, versus today, you can literally trace every single click. Where is it coming from? Where is it dropping? How is the leakage on your funnel? And these are all challenges / opportunities. How can you reduce that leakage from the funnel and basically beat industry standard?
And what are your views, 2020 versus 2030? How will the digital world look like?
We look at, on the consumer side, we think that, as I highlighted earlier, we try looking at the Arab world as a homogeneous economy. In practice, not even every country, every city has its own challenges and dynamics. We've lived in that environment for quite a long time, so we think that we're actually immune to a lot of these challenges. How do we see it moving forward? We think that within the next 5 to 10 years, our online economy will move from 29 billion to plus $44 billion, with bigger lion's share still continuing to be the 4 sectors we've highlighted, but more emerging sectors to come online, also like we highlighted. We think that despite the lack of funding over the past 10 to 15 years, the next 10 to 15 years, there is an abundance of funding that is currently being deployed into the ecosystem across the region. If you go to the G20 summit, if you go to the UN, if you go to even the Gulf Council, you will see the word entrepreneurship in every forum coming up. And there is developmental money across all GCC states that's basically focused more on jobs creation. But there's also a lot of commercial money. What really moves the needle when it comes to funding is sovereigns. And up until now, Kuwait has been quite shy on the asset class. More than $1 billion has actually been invested in local startups, if you measure across the past 5 to 10 years. And government's funding it scratches the surface. There's no real depth when it comes to venture capital as an asset class from the local governments. If you look at the landscape across the region, Saudi, Bahrain, Oman, Qatar have all really deployed programs into deploying real commercial money in the asset class. Today, I think private sector is a lot more advanced. We've seen changes. Family offices, second generation has moved a lot faster than first generation. We've seen banks, Bobian being a great example, and many other local and regional banks start investing directly into the ecosystem. And we really feel that if you compare 10 years ago versus the next 10 years, the number of venture capitalists in the region, accelerators, I think that we'll see more and more coming. We estimate, this year, 2019, we're at approximately, if you take away Kareem, we're at approximately $1.1 billion worth of investments across the region. We think that will continue at a faster pace in the upcoming years. I don't think that Kuwait by chance happens to be per capita the largest numbers of exits being created in this region. We think that number will continue, and we think Kuwait remains one of the finest grounds for consumer internet across the region. One, because of early adoption of consumers themselves. A lot of us are, Kuwait, as in Kuwaitis and expats, are very tech savvy. Internet costs are very low, smartphone penetration very high, and relatively speaking, are well paid compared to the region. And the other primary reason for that is our infrastructure. Our infrastructure, when it comes to telecom, banks, is actually one of the finest and strongest in the region.
Very interesting. Sure.
I see that from a supply side, if you really see, one, the skills that we found rare, and which is basically becoming a limiting factor for digital transformation, CX, customer experience, user experience, as well as data scientists. This will become a common norm. And that has started to happen. Our kids are now learning programming at the age of 6 and 8, which we started learning in our graduation. So that's the one big thing. And second, all the different platforms that you are seeing today, they are already converging. So chances of you having your ERP already built in with RPA, AI, and many other technologies is going to happen. That convergence has already started.
A side comment, even when interviewing today, I interview a lot of people, and whether it's a C-suite position or a very junior employee, my questions really end up being, what have you done in the past year? I don't care what you've done the past 10 years or 15 years. Then the world moves really fast, and you really get to become rusty. Your hands are rusty if you don't practice. So if you don't know your shit in the past year, you're out, and publicly out.
Yeah, thank you. Questions from the audience?
Okay, so if you've been looking at Slido, okay, we're going to go with the questions. So let's flip through. If we can switch it back on the screen, or I'll just log in from my device. I think these lovely people deserve a very big hand for the wonderful information they've shared with us. Thank you so much. So our first question would be, how do many businesses fail to notice the writing on the wall regarding digital disruption? How is it that so many businesses fail to notice the writing on the wall regarding digital disruption? What would you think? That's the question. So the first one.
Why do many businesses fail to notice the writing on the wall regarding digital disruption?
Let me take that one. I think it depends on the industry and the business, because you cannot afford, if you are in banking or similar industry, to escape this. So maybe the industry or the business that someone else is not hasn't been disrupted yet, or they don't see the digital transformation happening within their business class. But I don't believe that if someone is an industry where digital has has taken over and has moved very quickly, they can afford not to notice this.
Okay.
I really think this question is overstated.
It's
overstated.
Overstated.
I feel that there are big, large failures that have failed publicly. But compared to the number of businesses, registered businesses operating, and when you zoom in and understand the structure of not the Gulf economies, of other more developed economies, SMEs still contribute significantly to GDPs. And I don't think a lot of them have failed. I think a lot of them actually are the backbone to many digitized industries. So if you take, for example, what we're doing right now in laundries, number of laundries have increased. We have a laundries platform, on-demand laundries platform, that my partner runs, and we're actually trying to digitize that industry by standardizing the practice you get from a daily service using a laundry. We're not trying to close down the number of laundries.
Because you're making it easier for people to
For the consumer.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Even
but
for the owners. Yeah.
even for the owners. We do have a laundry management system, but I think my note is this is just an example. There are only very few large failures. I think the number is the statement is exaggerated.
Okay. Our next question is, as we speak about data analytics, core challenges that we face in GCC is that there is lack of data. People do not appreciate sharing data or information. Examples in Arabic of listed company. I'm sorry, I didn't understand what that was. Excuse me? Okay, for example, accounts receivables of listed companies. People do not want to share their information. So the data analytics is very difficult to get across. So what do you have to say about that? Anybody?
I think the question is more about the perception that there is a lack of data in the GCC.
So I think there are two sides of this coin. The first part that I talk about is what I covered previously, which is the digital trust. The trust that how this data is going to be consumed, who are the different parties that are going to look at, how can we demystify this black box, whether we call it artificial intelligence, blockchain, or whatever technology we are talking about, and how do we make sure that we are comfortable sharing this across all stakeholders who are going to interact with this platform. And I think partly when it comes to cloud, this discussion becomes all the more relevant. The other part, which actually in my opinion is probably not allowing the digital transformation to offshoot to the extent in GCC, is primarily the quality of data. And when we say quality of data, one of the primary reasons behind that is lack of data governance or not having very clear master data management framework setups. We have scaled up. If you really look back at GCC countries, and there are exceptions, there are some organizations who have done exceptionally well. But if you really look at the broad brush, you will see that significant IT investment have gone. They have really ramped up very fast in the last 10 years or so, but very little focus has been on the data governance. And those organizations who have done and invested into data governance have actually exceeded and secured more benefit out of their digital investments.
A big question now that's coming around, digitization versus unemployment. What are your views? Is it going to replace people? Is it going to help increase profitability? Definitely, but the unemployment factor. Anybody wants to take that up?
Somehow this happens to be my favorite topic to talk about, and often this is one question that comes as a practitioner whenever I go to make a pitch on a sales on a digital transformation. This is a $1 million question that is put my way. I would say, no, not really. This is not about unemployment or basically driving people out. But surely, this is also, we have to identify where the gaps are in the business process and what can we do with the people who get, at this point, let's say, get freed from doing this activity and moving them up the value chain. And by saying that, moving them up the value chain, it would not happen overnight. Thereby running a parallel program alongside your digital transformation journey that would allow the reskilling of these people to do something else. Let me share an example of one of the regional banks I helped, where when we started doing some basic procurement-related processes automation, we found that certain people are no longer required to do that activity. But we equally find that the category management function was missing in the same function, and these people had the best understanding of what the bank is buying and how that can be categorized and how they can optimize their investment. So using their skills to create a function that would allow them to add more value, probably save money for the bank or the organization they are serving, but equally retaining them because they have a lot of experience in this region. The other side of that is, and probably here I may be a bit debatable, some of you may agree and some not. The way I see it, it is a tool, at least for many of my government clients, who they're using this to drive their nationalization agenda. In some way, taking away the low end of the drudgery or the painful task where they are deploying a lot of expat labor, and actually having the bots to do those activities, and thereby working on the denominator of the nationalization agenda and automatically increasing the percentage of nationals in the organization. So actually it has been very, very successful for several of the government organizations in this respect.
Okay, another question, maybe we can, I think we'll have time for just another couple of questions. Maybe this question would go to Shekhar. Robotic process automation would transform the way processes work. This possesses an increased control risk. Are auditors equipped to counter this challenge? Auditors.
So just like everything else, even us as auditors, our profession is changing. We're digitalizing. The world, the days where we used to do sampling is slowly turning, and we're working with a lot more data. Therefore, the risk, excuse me,
Yeah.
where's the question?
Okay, we go back. Can we flip through?
The RPA would transform the way.
No, yeah, the first one. Robotic process automation would transform the way processes work.
Yeah.
This possesses increased controls in risks. Are auditors equipped to counter this challenge?
Yes, we definitely are. As I've mentioned earlier, the way we do audits are different. So it's a lot more, it works with a lot more, less manual, less sampling, and it works by looking at data in a grander scale. In my opinion, working with RPA reduces control risk because the human factor, the human error factor decreases. So it works to our advantage and not to our disadvantage.
Thank you very much to all. Yes, I'm sorry.
I think just a quick addition to that. First of all, if we are talking only about RPA, we are talking about rule-based processing. It actually does, to the Shekhar's point, it does the same thing over and over again, and chances of intervention are less. But that said, no profession, including auditing, is actually immune to this change, and thereby these skills have to be acquired into the audit profession as well. And us in the firm, I belong to EY, so in EY we actually do deploy RPAs to actually do the audit. So that's the case. I myself am part of that team who developed several RPA bots to actually perform audits. And the final thing, that virtual workforce and the user ID password that this RPA tool is using to create a certain transaction or posting a particular JV, we need to make sure that there are the bylaws and there are enough governance that allows that to happen. Oftentimes the problem is we are using a manual user ID password assigned to a particular human, and we are using the same user ID password to run a bot. That's where the problem starts. So if our governance is sorted, actually it aids to doing a better audit.
Okay, so I want to say a big thank you to Mr. Abdulaziz, Mr. Abdullah, Mr. Gopal, and Shekhar. Thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
We would now like to present each one of you with a token of our appreciation. And to do the honors, I'd like to invite Mr. Prashanta Shetty to present the token of our appreciation to Mr. Abdul Aziz Al-Lugani. If you would please come forward. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Mr. Gaurav Dukania, if you would please come forward and present a token of our appreciation to Mr. Abdullah Al-Najran Al-Tuwajri. Mr. Jagdish Joshi, if you would please come forward and present Mr. Gopal Sharma a token of our appreciation. And finally, one of my favorite person is receiving an award. Please welcome Mr. Ahmed Al-Faris to present a token of our appreciation to our moderator, Sheikha Al-Falej. Let's give her a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. May I request all the panel members to kindly take a few steps forward as we invite the members of KAAA, Mr. Sai, Mr. Gaurav, Mr. Noel, and Mr. Badr. If you would please come forward so we can have a group picture. We want to have a group picture with all of you. Thank you, all of you. Thank you very much. It was an honor. We would now like to invite Mr. Sai, the chairman, to come forward and present our platinum sponsors. With a memento, please join me, ladies and gentlemen, in appreciating and thanking our platinum sponsors from Unimoney. From Kuwait Airways, we'd like to invite Mr. Balaji Sita Raman. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Balaji from Kuwait Airways, thank you very much. We have one spot question to give away, and this one goes out to anybody here who has a picture of him and him or her and their spouse on the wedding day. If you have your wedding day photograph, most of you want to forget that, and when you keep that, you deserve a prize. Most of you want to forget that day, but if you have a photograph, look through your phone. Anybody who has, come on, run up here. Come on, run up here. We have one prize to give away. Come on. A photograph of you and your partner. How many years ago was this? 10 years ago. Seems like yesterday, right? You tell her, finally, शादी की तस्वीर लेके एक prize तो मिल गया हमें. What's your name, sir? Sandeep. What's your partner's name? Sheetal. Let's give Sandeep and Sheetal a very big hand. This is for you. There you go. Here you go. Okay, I have one more now. One more. Which country is set Now you got to run up, shoot as fast as you can, and come on up here, okay? I'm not going to wait to come over to you. Question is, which country is set to become the first country in the world to ban ads for unhealthy drinks with high sugar content? Pakistan? No. Which country in the world is going to ban ads for high sugar content drinks? No. Singapore. That is the right answer. Did you just guess? या मालूम था? पहले मालूम था, कहीं सुना था. आपने फोन फ्रेंड को कॉल किया था. नहीं, अमिताभ बच्चन के बारे में सुना होगा. Let's give, what's your name, sir? Praveen. Let's give Praveen a big hand. This is for you, Praveen. Congratulations. For those of you who are far stretched out there, you want to come on in closer? There are a lot of seats that are vacant here, and when we have joint energy and positive energy that comes together, it makes more sense. So come on in closer if you want to. It'll be easier for you to ask questions. Our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be talking to us today about how you turn change into opportunity. And this is a big thing. Whenever you tell a boss, I have a problem. You know the boss, what he says to you? अरे बेटा, ये problem नहीं है, ये एक opportunity है. कुछ नया करने को, कुछ नया दिखाने को. And then he goes, तेरे की क्यों बोला problem यार? मैं तो खुद ही solve कर लेता. So this is how you turn an opportunity. How you turn an opportunity and... We good? Okay. How we turn change into an opportunity.